48 North Adrian Highway, across from Monahan's.
Paid for by Video Productions of Lenawee.
Yes, that's what they're for. I don't have any information on. Well, that's okay. She's not first. Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the 2022 Lenawee Right to Life Oratory Contest. We are so excited to have you here. We have 6 brave high school students who are going to speak for life tonight. And we're just so delighted that they are doing this. My name is Jamie Anderson, and I am the co-coordinator of the Oratory Contest, and this is
Chris Yider, and we work together, and I too am very excited to get these kids to, they're busy, and to welcome them and to welcome all of you to hear their speeches tonight.
Chris and I get together about once a year, and this is what we do. So we're delighted that you're here. We have 3 judges tonight, and we would like to introduce the judges to you. The first judge is Mark Lenz. Mark is a senior communications specialist with Gleaner Life Insurance. It's a Christian-based fraternal financial group with headquarters here in Adrian, Michigan. Prior to working for Gleaner, Mark worked full-time in newsrooms at several newspapers for 37 years, including the final 13 as editor-in-chief of the Adrian Daily Telegram. He was born and raised in California, spent 22 years or 21 years in Navarre. We won't hold that against him, right? But he has called Michigan home for 22 years. Mark and his wife Jill have 4 grown children. They support the Care Pregnancy Center of Lenawee and volunteer with Share the Warmth. It's a homeless shelter here in Adrian. He's an active member of St. John's Lutheran Church, right here.
And Julianne Lark was with us last year. She has been a very good pro-life student and activist, and she's at Siena Heights this year as a junior. Her family has also been very pro-life. In fact, one of her sisters went to one of the pro-life marches in DC several years ago. Not only is Julianne active now, but she was a contestant and won 2 different years that she participated. She was very active at Lenawee Christian, was in theater, drama, music, all those good things, and volunteers a lot at her church. This year at Siena Heights, she is part of several clubs, including a pro-life group called Life for All. So I hope we hear a little bit more about that as well. She was recently elected as student government president, for next year, her senior year. So we're really glad to have Julianne come back and be a judge her second year after being a participant, so she knows both sides of the issues.
And our third judge is also a Lenawee County Right to Life Oratory Contest winner from how many years ago, Bethany? 8, 7, 8 years? Yeah. Bethany Miranda was raised here in Lenawee County, and she's an alumnus of Siena Heights University. Through college, she had the privilege of working for Hospice of Lenawee in their inpatient unit as a nurse aide. In 2019, Bethany relocated to Genesee County with her husband, Alex, who's here tonight with her. And in 2021, they welcomed their son, Reuben, to the family. And I think Reuben is just 1 year old, is that correct? Yeah, okay. And Alex is actually helping the judges to tabulate. So He's got his calculator all ready and his math skills. Bethany currently works for a foster and adoption agency in the Human Resource Department. She enjoys taking walks with her family, trying new recipes, and growing a cut flower garden. The mission of Right to Life is dear to Bethany's heart. In high school, she did compete twice here in the Oratory contest and went to state and won and went with her winning speech from the county level. The sanctity of life was instilled in Bethany as a child, but it has become a personal passion for her as God has revealed how truly fragile and precious life is in many life circumstances. She's thrilled to be back in the community here in Lenawee for such a worthy cause. And so these students who participated in the Right to Life Oratory contest, it really helped them to develop the passion for life in them. And I hope for you 6, it has done the same, and then it will continue to do the same as you graduate high school and go on in life, and that you will be a voice for life with the people that God brings into your lives. So thank you so much for coming tonight and participating. So the students have drawn numbers out of a basket for the order that they are presenting in tonight, and they are sitting in the order of their presentations. Yeah, so I'm going to have Chris introduce the first speaker, and Chris, if you want to actually come over here so he can get set up over there, you can take your materials. So we'll introduce the students on this side, and then when we're introducing you, you can go over to the other side and get yourself set up. So here you go, Chris. I'm going to hand the microphone to you.
Nicholas Stewart is a junior at Lenawee Christian School. He's here from Adrian. He's a very conscientious student and a member of the National Honor Society. Nick is also on the debate team at Lenawee Christian, and his teacher says that he is a very good speaker, so I look forward to hearing his speech tonight. He's a 2-time state champion in football, which we know requires a lot of dedication and perseverance, so he's got the muscles under that dress shirt, I know. And he plans on a career in business, right? But he is, like you say, a junior. He's got another year to go. So, Nick, this is yours, right? No, he has mine. Oh, he has his. Okay.
Good evening. Life is the one thing we cannot buy. It is not something we choose. Rather, it is a construct that is purely given to us. What one can do with a life is something that cannot be measured. Sure, we can put objective qualities, such as material goods and other forms of wealth, or we can put subjective qualities, such as a number of people we helped in our lifetime. But life is truly more than a selfish quest to conquer the corporate command chain and live to please ourselves. Rather, life has purpose and meaning. Throughout history, there have been many gifts given to prominent people. King Nebuchadnezzar gifted his wife the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, which also happens to be one of the 7 wonders of the world. The 3 wise men gave Jesus gold, frankincense, and myrrh. But there is one gift so common that it is often overlooked, yet it is the most important gift of all, the gift of life. For if Nebuchadnezzar hadn't been born, there would be no gardens, as well as if the wise men hadn't been born, there wouldn't have been any gifts to Jesus. You see, the things we place value in are those that which can easily be replaced. If a house is burnt down, we can rebuild. If a man goes bankrupt, he can build another fortune. He can repeat this many times. The paradox rather inversely shows the most important things are those which are free, such as your relationship with your spouse, the time spent with family, and those who have been given the gift of life. Why, the possibilities of someone's life are endless. The amount of good a person can do is limitless. Give the gift of life and see the good that will ensue. Many people see abortion as an easy out for a poor decision they made in their youth, or an option as to not place financial burden on the soon-to-be parent. Many times, people who get abortion use the excuse, "I haven't enough money," or "I haven't the time." My personal favorite one, though, is, "I'm not mature enough to have a child at this particular time in my life." Well, you better mature fast because your child's going to need a parent in their lives. All of the reasons I have just listed are all ones of selfishness and self-importance, and also ones of very much misinformation. You see, there is a narrative being pushed today by the dominant media sources which entails the horrors of parenting, not being able to finish a college degree or high school diploma, giving up all your spare time to attend the ever-so-needy child whom you had the foolish decision to have at such a young age. Why waste the prime of your life by having a child? This narrative is comprehensively false, as well as misguiding those who haven't the proper understanding of parenthood. I would like now to point to the story of Erica Alfaro. Erica became pregnant with her son, Luis, when she was at the tender age of 15. Not long after, she was forced out of her abusive boyfriend's house and left completely on her own. As a high school dropout and with no friends or family to aid her, she thought all hope was lost. But through sheer determination, grit, and most of all hard work, Erica earned her degree in psychology from California State San Marcos, with her son by her side. Not only does this story invoke the feeling of satisfaction from the success of Erica, but it also provides hope and peace to those who are fretting to have their child. But it is worth, as it is said by Erica, it's worth every bit of it. Now that we have hit on the issue of life from an emotional point of view, let us now hit on the point of logic. People will say that science has proven an unborn baby is not a living thing. I simply have no words other than completely and utterly false. According to the Cambridge University, there are 8 characteristics of life. Living things are made up of cells. Living things reproduce. Living things are based on genetic code. Living things grow and develop. Living things obtain energy and grow. Living things respond to their environment. Living things maintain stable internal environment. Living things change over time. An unborn baby displays all of these characteristics, if not an even more compelling argument, DNA, which in one strand contains all of the information to replicate the unique person completely, is formed at conception, when the egg is fertilized. In no circumstance are you killing something that is not living. Life is sacred, and the most valuable thing we are ever given. The right to life should not even be a point of doubt or question in its importance. Giving the right to life is by far the most important decision that a mother could make. As Erica states, being a mother is my favorite and most important job I have ever had. It is also the most rewarding. Thank you.
Wow. That was really good, Nicholas. Thank you, and thank you for giving him such great affirmation with your applause. That's a wonderful thing. So now what we have to do is give the judges just a little bit of time to finish their ballots on Nicholas's speech. So what we're going to do is just, what we forgot to do at the beginning? We forgot to pray. Chris and I were just so excited to get this all started. So if you just join me in prayer. Oh, Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this opportunity to glorify you. We thank you, Lord, that you are the one who has given life to these 6 students. You fearfully and wonderfully knit them together in their mother's wombs, and you've given them the passion for speaking about life. We thank you for that. We ask that you would just guide each one of them, that you would help them to overcome the fear and anxiety that they might have, to get those butterflies to fly in formation as they come before us. And we thank you that we have this opportunity to gather as your people. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so our second speaker, I'm going to go ahead and put the screen up. There we go. Allison's going to be next. If you want to get yourself ready to come up, I'll let you know. The judges are still tabulating their ballots there. There are refreshments for those of you who are here in person that are provided by Lenaway, Right to Life. So you can grab some refreshments if you'd like to in between. And we'll have each of the 6 contestants come up in order, and then the judges will leave, and we'll have some information to present to you when they are putting together their ballots. So Roxanne Meeks, I don't know where that came from. She was my she was my pledge mom way back in college, just a couple of years ago. Roxanne Meeks from the Care Pregnancy Center of Lenawee is here to share some information with us. And Natalie Spalding, who won the Right to Life contest last year and is a student at Hillsdale? And she's here tonight, and she's going to share some information with us. So we've got some really great information to share with you. So we do ask you to just, come back in and, and enjoy the information that we have to share. Also, we are live streaming tonight's contest, so you can find a recording of that on the St. John's Lutheran Church Facebook page or YouTube channel or website. So if students, you want to see yourself afterwards, you can evaluate yourself. That's always fun. I teach speech communications, and I tell the students that the best way for them to improve is to watch themselves. Even though it's hard to do, I know, but that is the best way for you to improve. So you'll see what you did good and celebrate that, and you'll see those things that are also things that you can improve next time. But do take an opportunity to watch yourself tonight. So the judges are still working on their ballots. So we really appreciate the judges coming tonight and doing such a great job. So what they will do is they will give you the ballots afterwards, and they'll have some comments on them. And that's why they're taking their time, because they want you to each improve in your speaking skills and in your ability to speak for life. So do take advantage of those comments afterwards. So, all right, and they are still working on that. Anything else, Chris, that we need to talk about?
In our next break, the president of the local...
You need the microphone. Chris doesn't want to come up here. I know. She just wants to stay in the behind the scenes.
Back there. Jamie's great on her feet, isn't she? Anyhow, Lisa, would you stand? Lisa Miller is the president of the local chapter of Right to Life. And this, Lisa, is your, what, second year? Didn't you take over last year when we did this? There was, you were in a transition, I believe, and couldn't get here or something, anyhow. So, since the judges are just about done, we'll next break.
Okay.
Then Lisa she has some announcements for the local chapter, and I know one of them, I bet, is the dinner coming up in April. You gonna tell everybody about that? Yeah, exactly. Jamie will be glad.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'll take the mic. Great, okay, thanks, Chris. All right, Allison, if you want to make your way to the podium, that would be great. So, all right, looks like the judges might be ready. So Alison Ross is our next contestant, and she comes to us from Manchester, Michigan. She's a sophomore who has been homeschooled her entire life. She serves in her church on the tech team, and feels like she's on the bridge of the USS Enterprise. Very much like the tech booth is back here. Oh, and I should mention, Craig Simon is volunteering his time to work our tech booth tonight to make this live stream happen. Allison has 9 cats, which she loves, and she's a great lover of books and has read a lot, actually collected all the Nancy Drew books, or almost all of them. She's an only child, and that's what brings her here tonight. Her heart has longed for a sibling, and that brings her to share her passion for Right to Life. Thank you, Allison.
Yes. Okay. Abortion is legal murder. The child at the moment it is conceived as a human being, it is unjust and evil to kill a newborn. If you kill an infant, you are no better than the Ephesians who threw newborns and babies into a pile to be burned outside of the city. Have we not changed in over 2,000 years? Human life begins the moment of fertilization. Human life begins at fertilization, the process in which cells from a male and female unite to form a single cell called a zygote. This is highly specialized, totipotent cell marked the beginning of each of us as a unique individual. A zygote is the beginning of a new human being, an embryo. It is against God's design to kill unborn children. Ending the lives of an unborn humans run contrary to God's given knowledge of right and wrong placed in all human hearts. It runs contrary to human reason to kill our offspring. It runs contrary to what is good for our society. Unborn children are human beings. It is settled in biological science that unborn little boys and girls are human beings. The primary purpose of government is to protect the life of its citizens, and purpose of the Constitution is to set up a framework for the government to do so. To say that the Constitution guarantees and allows the right to take life of an unborn child contradicts the very purpose of the document itself. Would anyone you know support a mother killing her toddler in the name of choice and who decides? Clearly, if the unborn are human like toddlers, we shouldn't kill them in the name of choice any more than we would a toddler. Again, this debate is about one question. What is the unborn? At this point, some may object that your comparisons are not fair, that killing a fetus is morally different than killing a toddler. Are the unborn, like toddlers, members of the human family? That is the one issue that matters. The unborn are human, and it is against God and our nature as humans to kill our offspring who are also human. The gift of life should not be wasted and should be valued. And every baby is a miracle and should be treated and valued as such. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for giving Alison that great affirmation. Alison, thank you. Thank you for being here. Yay! Isn't it wonderful? She's a sophomore. God, that means she's got 2 more years after this one to compete. That's what I always think. So, all right, thank you, Alison. And while we're waiting for the judges, Lisa's going to come up and talk to you a little bit about some things that Lenawee Right to Life would like you to know about. And yeah, you can speak from the lectern there. That'd be great.
Hi, I'm Lisa, and I recently just became the president of Right to Life, and we have some really tough things coming on this year that we need to really, really pray about and get the word out. So I just want to say that we are in a season right now where we're coming up against a great storm in our lives. Did you ever think that in our generation that we might be the generation that Roe v. Wade is turned over? There was a direct challenge on the first 29 years called Dobbs just recently, and this decision to overturn Roe v. Wade could be coming any day now. And this is what Michigan could look like. We could be the first state in the country to be without abortion completely. There's never been a legal abortion in Michigan. The only reason you can get an abortion is because Roe overshadows Wade from a law from 1846, but it's never been rescinded. Michigan is unique to the rest of the country as we have the Supreme Court and the state abortion ban that has not been rescinded. It's still intact. Once this Roe is revised, our old law from 1846 can go back into effect. A new pro-abortion coalition has formed, calling themselves the Reproductive Freedom for All Act. It's made up of American Civil Liberties, Union of Michigan, Planned Parenthood, Advocates of Michigan, and Michigan Voices. The ballot proposal will affirm unrestricted abortion on demand. So what we're looking at here in Michigan is abortion up to 9 months pregnant, and just because somebody wants to get rid of the child. So we want to work to the coalition is working to permanently amend Michigan State Constitution so that this can have abortion on demand guaranteed as a right in our Constitution for Michigan. So we need to gather our warriors, our young people, and fight for our right to have life in our country. This coalition needs 425,059 signatures. They're already in process trying to get these signatures to overturn our abortion, or the laws that we have already worked for 49 years to present. You guys are the next generation. We need your voices. And by presenting today, we encourage you to speak out, to be passionate about what drives you, whether it's euthanasia, whether it's stem cell research, abortion, and we are just praying for all of you to have that voice, to step out of your comfort zone, to be courageous, and we thank you for stepping up here. And you have a chance. Last year we had one of our young people from Michigan rank in the top 5. I want somebody from Lenawee to do the top #1, to go to nationals and be passionate about our right to life. So I am just so thankful for all of you coming, for preparing, and I feel a little less prepared because this is not my comfort zone. But I love the passion that you guys are already showing, and I am praying for each and every one of you, even if you don't make the top 1, to be out there and be passionate, and we welcome you to come to our pro-life meetings. They're the 3rd Tuesday of the month. We also have a pro-life dinner coming up April 12th. That is at the center in Adrian, and I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, and pray that God will bless you and use your voice to help our pro-life cause. So thank you very much on that. And
Okay, thank you, Lisa, for not being very comfortable up here. You were pretty effective. So thank you, Lisa, thank you for your passion for life and for leading Lenawee County, because we need leaders like you as well. All right, Olivia, if you'd like to make your way to the podium, that would be wonderful. Judges, are you ready for your next contestant? Okay. Olivia Spielman is a freshman at Addison High School. She is on the JV volleyball team and the varsity softball team, and she is also active in student council at Addison High School. And I think her grandmother is the one that got her involved in this. So thank you, grandmother, for encouraging your granddaughter to speak. And for all of you that are watching, if you have kids next year, think about getting them involved as well. Olivia?
Good evening. And Planned Parenthood is a feminist organization who, and I quote, fight to make sure that Michiganders can access reproductive health care, no matter their zip code, income, sexual orientation, race, religion, gender, country of origin, or immigration status. What they fail to mention is that Planned Parenthood is a company founded on racism, ableism, and eugenism. Now, I don't see anything feminist in that. Their own founder, Margaret Sanger, was a known white supremacist and eugenic supporter. Now, when the largest abortion provider in the United States is racist, the issue of abortion is not simply moral or political. It turns into targeting. Now, as well as having some distressing origins, abortions can have serious and detrimental physical and mental effects on women. So the practice of abortion is racist, eugenist, ableist, and harmful to women. Now, like I said before, Planned Parenthood is the largest abortion provider in the United States, and in 2020 alone, Planned Parenthood performed 395,000 abortions. Now, of those 395,000, 37% were of Black women. Now, to put that in numbers, that's more than 146,000 pregnancies of Black women alone. Now, that is an incredibly alarming number, given that that Black women make up only 13.4% of the United States population. But this is no coincidence, because Planned Parenthood is much more present in minority neighborhoods than they are in white neighborhoods. Why could this be? Well, maybe because Margaret Sanger, the women's reproductive rights activist, was a known eugenic supporter. In Sanger's own book, The Pivot of Civilization, she states, "We are paying for, and even submitting to, the ever-increasing, unceasingly spawning class of human beings who never should have been born at all." In her works, she is openly advocating for the elimination of a people outside of the social norm, whether that be physical or mental. She also stated, "The most urgent problem today is how to limit and discourage the overfertility of the mentally and physically defective." Now, you don't even need to be pro-life to recognize that the hope for an extinction of a people outside of the physical or mental norm is barbaric. So Planned Parenthood isn't an institution that just pushes racist ideals, they push eugenic ideals too. Now, another group that Planned Parenthood targets are the unborn with Down syndrome. But this problem is not just limited to Planned Parenthood. It is a worldwide crisis. The number of children born with Down syndrome has decreased significantly after prenatal testing became readily available. Roughly 74% of women who learn that their babies have Down syndrome choose to abort. So even though abortion is supposedly a modern feminist movement, it is still contributing to a wave of ableism. Now, ableism is a discrimination and social prejudice against people with disabilities and people who are perceived to be disabled. And since the beginning of time, people with Down syndrome and other disabilities have been treated with cruelty and brutality. The institutionalization of people with mental disabilities ended less than 42 years ago. And in case that sounds like a long time, microwaves had already been around for close to 20 years. But now, instead of isolating people from society, we've taken it a step further and decided that they're better off dead. Planned Parenthood would agree with that statement, because on their website they state that if a woman knows that their baby has Down syndrome, they should not tell any Planned Parenthood employees. They state that it is illegal to perform abortion for the reason of Down syndrome, but other mental and physical disabilities are okay to say. They don't state that they would want to counsel a woman about the potential life of the child or how to raise a child with a disability. They just don't want to know. And what they also don't want women to know is that the harm that abortions cause is not just limited to bigger pictures. Every abortion performed can have serious and detrimental effects, both physical and psychological, to the woman having the abortion. To get started, the common physical effects of abortion include bleeding, which can last up to 21 days, cramping, dizziness, nausea, and vomiting. Now, the possible complications are damage to the womb or cervix, excessive bleeding, infection of the uterus or fallopian tubes, scarring of the inside of the uterus, sepsis or septic shock, uterine perforation, and death. Now, just like anything, death is not likely, but a procedure that claims to be all-empowering to women seems to have a lot of serious and concerning complications. Now, abortions can also have long-term effects, such as an increased risk of certain cancers, depression and anxiety, as well as suicidal thoughts, an increased risk of STDs, and pelvic and inflammatory diseases. Now, how could a company that cares so much for the health and safety of women advocate so strongly for a procedure that causes extreme amounts of emotional and physical damage to said women? This is because Planned Parenthood is an organization that preys on the small. They prey on women who need help and only stress one thing: abortion. Their whole system relies on racism, eugenism, and ableism. They push a procedure onto women that gives irreversible mental damage, from depression, anxiety, and suicidal thoughts to regret and nightmares, as well as the possible physical damage that includes bleeding, infection, sepsis, septic shock, and death. So they might not kill women with every abortion, but they operate a practice of making women want to kill themselves. These are not people who fight for women's rights and safety. These are people who promote death. Death to the unborn and death to women. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia. Those were good reminders for all of us about the horrors of abortion. Lisa's going to talk to us a little bit more, and I believe that at the dinner that's coming up, the speaker is actually speaking on post-abortion healing or trauma or something like that. Come on up and tell us the rest.
So at our dinner, we're going to be having, hold on, I wrote it down because I'm terrible about remembering names, and I'm nervous. Jack, and I just had it. Tell me the name, honey. Yeah. Why did I say Jack? I just looked at it. Roger Stanwyck. He is a father of a woman who chose to have abortion, and we would love to have you come. We're taking it from a father's point of view because, you know what? Sometimes we think about abortion only just being the woman's choice, and there's a dad involved too. It takes two to make that baby. So we would love to have you come. The dinner starts at 6 o'clock. It's at the center in town here. It's on April 12th. Well, it opens at 6. starts at 6:30. I'm sorry, I'm highly nervous. And kind of looks at a dad's point of view. We miss our parents, and we miss the fact that dads are parents in this relationship too. And sometimes they don't even get a chance to say what their voice is. And you know, that says a lot, because sometimes women just go and have an abortion and there is no choice for that dad. And the loss that they feel is just as prevalent as when a young woman chooses to end that life as well. That pain, that suffering, goes right along hand in hand. And we just got to pray for those dads too, to step up and take that place next to the person that they're fathering a child with, and let them know that, you know what, we need to make a change. We need to keep this baby, keep that life, preserve that life. And I have a little story to share. A young girl that goes to Siena Heights, so she's from around here. She was raised in a very tough situation. She ended up a product of foster care. Just extreme poverty was the reason. It wasn't because of neglect or abuse, well, kind of a neglect. She was the oldest of 8 children. Her mother worked as a restaurant waitress. And I won't say her name just because some of you might know, and I don't want to share too much without, I have permission to share what I have to share. But product of extreme poverty. She lived in a house trailer with no floors. They slept on sand in Michigan here in the wintertime. None of the children had beds. And she just recently found out that she was pregnant, and she reached out to me, and she's scared. She only knew the guy 5 months and was with him and became pregnant. And she really, really was considering having an abortion, because as soon as he found out she was pregnant, he said goodbye. And I told her, I said, remember the fight that you had her whole entire life. She chose not to be adopted in the foster care system. She chose that she wanted to go back with her mom when she was old enough to, because her mom loved her. Her mom didn't want her to go, or any of the other 8 children, but she just could not afford to feed them and take care of them. When they found the youngest 4 children, she was 8, taking care of all of her 8 brothers and sisters. And when they found them, there were Doritos in a bottle because there was no formula. They were crushed up for one of the younger children. And this is the life that she lived until she went into foster care. But after talking with her, not only is she choosing life, but she's having twins. And so we just need to pray for these young mothers, because she is scared. She barely can make her rent as it is right now. And she did graduate from Siena, so she's looking for employment. Some of her field is a little scarce, so we just need to pray for these women that are making these choices and put those resources out there for them, and encourage them that, you know what, twins are going to be hard. It's going to be a lot of work, and it's probably the most work she's ever done in her life to promote life. But what she said to me just broke my heart. It's just like, I will never have my children taken away from me. I will do whatever it takes to help them to be alive and healthy and thrive, because my family got separated. Brothers and sisters were adopted. Some were taken to different parts of the country, and she grieved that loss. She grieved it so heavily, and she's like, it doesn't matter if I'm doing this alone. I'm going to make it happen. And I'm like, you go, girl. We just want to encourage those moms that are on the fence, like, do I do abortion? Do I not do abortion? We just want to love them and pray with them, be their light in the darkness, and just say, hey, is there anything I can do for you? And really mean it. So maybe reaching out, maybe giving from our pockets, maybe taking it. She doesn't drive either, So this is going to be a challenge for her, but she's trying to learn before the babies come. They'll come in October. But what a blessing and a decision to choose family and choose life, even though she's scared to death. But she's just turning her trust in the Lord, and we just need to pray other women will do the same as well.
Okay, our fourth contestant is Katherine Shane. She is a junior at Lenawee Christian School with a heavy academic load and is a member of the National Honor Society. She too is a member of or part of the debate team, which will serve her well as she is pursuing a degree in law when she gets to college. That's her plan right now, right? Kate is a gifted violin player, participates in 4-H. I don't think she could escape that, right, since her father's very involved. Cheerleading and ballet. She's worked with Destiny Rescue Project at her high school, which is an organization that strives to raise awareness and money to rescue young girls. I believe in Asia is the ones that you're working with mostly right now, right? To rescue them from the sex trafficking that they have been victims of. So I'm glad to introduce to you Kate tonight. Kate.
The year was 1970 in Japan. The body of a newborn baby was found wrapped in a towel and stuffed into a paper bag. A note was attached that read, "I'm sorry, I really am." According to an article in the Times, this was only one of the hundreds of examples of babies who had been killed or abandoned in Japan during that year. This horrifying act also takes place closer to home. Toward the end of the 1970s, a doctor by the name of Kermit Gosnell opened up an abortion clinic in Western Philadelphia. Dr. Gosnell's story is a horrifying and a gruesome one. It is a story of a man who admitted to the intentional killing of babies born alive in his clinic and the murder of over 16,000 unborn babies during his 31 years of practice. Infanticide, or homicide of an infant, is not a new concept. In fact, infanticide was historically prevalent, dating back to the Greeks and Romans. Virtually every civilization in human history took part in this gruesome practice. Many historians would argue that population control served as a major reason for infanticide, especially in countries that were poor and overcrowded. Other historical motivators included religious superstitions and even legitimizing infanticide for infants born with birth defects. Today, according to the CDC, infanticide is still among the leading causes of infant death. However, due to the influence of Christian principles in the West, infanticide is typically seen as immoral and has become illegal in Western culture. Most examples of infanticide in the West are classified as indirect cases due to abandonment rather than newborns actively being put to death. However, in the last decade, we are witnessing a cultural shift in the West that requires all of us, regardless of political affiliation, to take note. It is a shift toward the legalization of direct infanticide, or, to put it in layman's terms, the absolution of intentional killing of full-born babies born alive who are then murdered or allowed to die purposefully. We can see an example of this cultural shift in the new proposition legalization by Maryland State Senator William C. Smith, Jr. This Senate bill, entitled A Pregnant Person's Freedom Act of 2022, would make it legal to kill newborn babies up to 1 month in age. Under this bill, newborns would be considered non-humans. For example, this bill prohibits consequences to the mother for causing purposeful perinatal death of a newborn before the age of 7 completed days. These causes could include starvation, suffocation, abandonment, and other induced traumas to the newborn. Another example can be seen in the Virginia bill, called the Roe Act, which is also being referred to as the Infanticide Act. This act is working to remove obstacles, expand access to abortion, and eliminate rights given to the baby for immediate medical care on site. Governor and physician Ralph Northam was asked directly what would happen to the baby if it survived the abortion procedure. He indicated that the baby would be resuscitated and kept comfortable, but that there would be no medical treatment given to the baby if the parent refused. Dr. Northam was stating that it would be permissible for the parent and the doctor to therefore commit infanticide. Fortunately, the 117th Congress has passed the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act, which prohibits a healthcare practitioner from failing to provide care. However, it also prohibits the criminal prosecution of the mother. Other versions of the Virginia bill are also being debated, such as the bill in Massachusetts. This bill aims to remove 2 current requirements under Massachusetts law. The first is the requirements that doctors have to attempt to save the infant. And second,
They have to have life-saving equipment on site in the event that the child is born alive during an abortion. In addition, abortion advocates are also pushing for abortion numbers not to be reported. Last year alone, Massachusetts reported nearly 20,000 abortions. Even though the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act has passed, we cannot be quiet and allow for this cultural shift. There is extreme opposition to this act in the medical community. The American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, along with 17 other health professional groups, have signed letters of opposition to this Protection Act. We are living in a time where there is a need in society for legislation that guards against infanticide. The unborn and newborns need a voice. Story after story can be told from medical professionals who were told to treat premature babies as tissue. Medical journal articles, such as the article written by Carlo Villiani, shows that members of the medical community are constantly debating on whether or not to even examine a distressed premature baby born in the hospital, and at what age do we treat or value the life. Mothers of premature babies share their stories, such as the story of Sarah Capo, who begged her doctor to try and save her tiny son, born at 21 weeks, 5 days. The doctor told her that any baby born before 22 weeks would not be given any medical treatment. In another event, a medical student reported that they walked into a maternity ward to find a premature baby born at 20 weeks, sitting on a pan, uncovered, shivering, abandoned, and left to die. What are we to do? God is calling us to act. The Bible warns us against infanticide. When the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Say to the people of Israel, any one of the people of Israel, or of the strangers who sojourn in Israel, who give any of his children to Molech, shall surely be put to death." God is calling us to fight against those who do not value the sanctity of life. It is time for believers to take a stand against infanticide. In order to do this, we must educate fellow believers on the sanctity of human life before God, refuse to support businesses, media, and churches that promote infanticide, financially support poor, unmarried mothers, and make adoption services more accessible, put pressure on lawmakers to protect infant life, and pray that God changes the hearts and minds of medical practitioners and political authorities who perform or condone infanticide and/or abortion. We must take a stand for those who cannot stand for themselves. If we don't use our knowledge and resources to share and do what is right, we are no better than the one leaving the baby in the paper bag. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Katie. Oh, these students have such great information to share. But better than that, it's the passion that you have to do it. So thank you very much, Katie, for doing that. That's wonderful. There is an analysis of the abortion amendment that's out by the snack table. I told you there's snacks out there. So grab one of these. Lisa's been telling you about it. Let me just read a little bit to you. On January 7th, the Reproductive Freedom for All Coalition announced they seek to add an amendment to the Michigan Constitution allowing unlimited abortions. The coalition's leaders are Planned Parenthood, the ACLU, and an organization called Michigan Voices, which Lisa was talking about. They hope to collect 425,059 signatures to put the amendment on the ballot in November. It's important for all Michigan citizens to understand clearly that this confusing amendment, what it would do, because it goes far beyond just abortion. The writers of this pamphlet say, let's go through each section of the proposal, trying to use simple language to explain how it would work. I know my friend Jill said she read it and she was like, this is so confusing, Jamie. This is going to make people go to the ballot and vote the wrong way that they want to vote. And that's exactly what it will do. So get yourself informed on it with this pamphlet and inform people that are going to vote pro-life, because they might accidentally vote the other way because it's so confusing. So don't just sit and say, oh, well, it's not going to happen. Yes, we can together do this, right? To quickly summarize, this proposed amendment is written so broadly and so poorly worded that it would harm every state law on abortion and everything else related to pregnancy. The only limit is consent, which is not limited to adults. This is horrible. There's a section in here. Chris just pointed it out to me. So grab one of these and read it. Right above number 4, it says, nor shall the state penalize, prosecute, or otherwise take adverse action against someone for aiding or assisting a pregnant individual in exercising their right to reproductive freedom with their voluntary consent. So make sure that you get yourself informed. Runaway Right to Life brought these so that you can be informed. So I don't know how many are out there, but grab one and photocopy and give it to everybody in your church and everybody that you know that will vote pro-life. And then Runaway Right to Life's newsletter is out there by the snacks as well, so you can grab one of these if you're not a member. Students, it's $5 to join. So grab one of the newsletters, and on the back page there is the application form. So there you go. You guys can become members and add your voice to Runaway Right to Life. So I encourage you to do that as well, okay? All right. I think our judges are ready for our next contestant. If I can juggle my papers. Somewhere I have Jamie Stiver. So Jamie Anderson is going to introduce Jamie Stiver, if she can find her up there. So Jamie Stiver is a senior at Britton Deerfield. She is graduating this year, and I believe she told me she is valedictorian? Salutatorian? What? Valedictorian. So she has another speech that she's preparing as soon as this one is done. She is a runner. She is on the track and cross-country teams at Britton Deerfield and in the band, and an excellent piano player. I actually took piano lessons from her teacher for a couple of years, who my sons took piano from. So it's Sally Wilson from Tecumseh, if anybody needs a piano teacher. There you go, an advertisement for a piano teacher. Jamie is attending Olivet University next year and running on the cross-country team. So Jamie, it's all yours.
The world has lost 7 million lives over the past 2 years due to COVID-19, according to the World Health Organization, shocking the world with fear and causing immense pain and loss. But that's nothing. WHO also records a massacre of about 73 million that occurs worldwide each and every year. Occurring quietly under the radar, this genocide is abortion. Abortion is a controversial topic, a debate of ethics and morals, of life versus convenience. Addressing abortion is important for determining personal beliefs, knowing who you are and who we are as a society. According to the International Planned Parenthood Federation, the most common abortion procedure is vacuum aspiration, in which the uterus is emptied using suction. Dr. Norman McLean from a medical school in New Zealand delivered about 8,000 babies, and at one point performed 200 abortions. But he stopped performing abortions because it became unsettling to him. McLean explains complications in second trimester abortions when the baby was too large to fit in the vacuum tube. McLean used a tool similar to that with pliers with teeth that is used to grip tightly on the baby and the limbs, tear it off, and pull it out of the uterus. That would be unsettling. What makes matters worse is that during an abortion, you can see in the ultrasound the baby scream. Most abortions nowadays are carried out medically using pills, such as mifepristone and misoprostol. Mifepristone works to block progesterone, a hormone necessary to maintain a pregnancy. Then misoprostol causes the uterus to contract and empty the pregnancy contents. This is marketed as safe and effective. However, people fail to realize that this is still murder. According to the founder of an abortion recovery ministry, the women they come in contact with tell of the horrors they suffer from using these pills. They explain how women are left traumatized after seeing the aftermath of their babies. And out of panic and horror, some have put their dead babies in their freezers. All too late, these women realized that their unborn children were much more than masses of tissue. They were living babies. My mother had complications early in her pregnancy with me, and she was worried she might lose me and suffered bleeding at just 6 weeks. When she went to the hospital, they found a small heartbeat and assured her everything was okay. And now I can stand here today and defend those whose lives were taken, whose hearts were also beating at just 6 weeks. Why should anyone care, though? Why does life matter? Why do we exist? Because of love. And God is love. Life is the chance He gives us to love others, bring them to His salvation, and for us to also be loved. Life has value because each person is unique, fearfully and wonderfully made by love Himself. Life begins at conception when God puts a soul into the newly formed and growing cell. God values his beloved creation. In Psalm 127, verse 3, David writes, "Children are a heritage from the Lord, offspring a reward from him." Lawrence H. Tribe, an American legal scholar and professor at Harvard University, writes in one of his books, "No right is more basic than the right to live, and the untimely death of a young child is among life's most awful tragedies. To cause such a death is a great wrong. Nothing is more devastating than a life without liberty." Now, as I did my research, I tried to understand why someone would support abortion. I turned to Edward Wilson, holding a biology doctorate from Harvard, and he said, "Human existence may be simpler than we thought. There's no predestination, no unfathomed mystery of life. Instead, we are self-made, independent, alone, and fragile." Wilson's thought process is a worldview, but also a very dangerous way to live. For one, these ideals are self-focused, without God in the picture at all. Believing that we're alone with lives that have no predestination makes abortion very easy because life at that point means nothing. Life comes from God, and God is good, therefore life is good. Abortion is not of God. It's death, and therefore it's not good. Humans must stop playing God. So, altogether, this creates a large reflection on what our society has become. Randy Alcorn, an author with an MA in Biblical Studies from Multnomah University, writes, "The power of the strong to determine the fate of the weak has been inbred through laws and policies and classroom discussions on abortion." That leads me to realize every person needs to make choices wisely and be careful because every action has a reaction and a consequence. Many people choose to remain without an opinion on abortion. However, there is no in-between. People are certainly not required to shout it from the rooftops, but yet in their heart, a decision should be made. Otherwise, people do not truly know themselves. I sincerely hope that, like said in John 8:32, you know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Thank you.
Wow, are you guys just getting excited? These speeches are wonderful. God, thank you, each one of you, for doing this. So, they are competing tonight for the right to go to the state contest. And the state contest is on Saturday, May 21st in Charlotte, which is where it was last year. Last year, there were 18 contestants, so it was an 18-county contest last year. And this year, there are 25 contests, and we're about right smack dab in the middle. I think there's been about 12 or 13 that have already been held, and there's a few more that are being held tonight and some tomorrow night. And then there is a national contest, and that one will be held in Atlanta this year on June 25th. And I actually went to the National Right to Life Oratory Contest the year that Jill and Mark were married. Was it 2009 or 2010? 2009? Mark and Jill, it's like, what year did we get married? The reason I know that is because my son won the county contest. My oldest son won the county contest that year, and he went to the state contest, but the state contest was the same day as Jill and Mark's wedding, and I chose to go to the wedding instead of to the contest. And he called me from Holt, and he says, "Mom, I won." And I went, "What?" So I got to go to the national contest and see him there, but I missed him at the state contest. So that's a little story that I have. And Chris.
That's why Jamie is such a pro.
Well, she knows Luke. She taught Luke Spanish, right? Yeah. So what these... a character? Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Right. No.
But anyhow, that's how Jamie has so much experience with all these contests.
Yeah. My kids drag me into things, right? No, I'm delighted to do this. Yeah, that's right. So I told you that they're competing to represent Lenawee County at the state level. But tonight, Lenawee Right to Life is going to give the first place winner a $200 check, the second place winner a $100 check, and the third place winner a $50 check. So that's a wonderful thing for high school students to know. It's like, oh, there's an opportunity to win money as well as represent the county. Yeah.
Natalie Spalding won first place last year. I don't know if Roxanne was going to fill this in, but would you stand, Natalie? And so, she can also give you some firsthand experience, right? Of the contest.
Yeah, so when the judges are all done and they leave the room and are conferring, Natalie is going to come up, and so maybe she'll tell you guys about what it's like at the state contest. And Julianne could do it, and Bethany could do it, but they're going to be out of the room, so just so you kind of know what to expect. But it's going to be in Charlotte. You guys know where Charlotte is? I had to go on a bike ride across Michigan to know how to pronounce it. I used to say Charlotte, and then I went on the bike ride through Charlotte, and I learned, oh, it's Charlotte. So just so you don't pronounce it wrong if you win and you go to the state contest. But if you go to North Carolina, it's Charlotte. Exactly, and you go to North Carolina, it's Charlotte. Right, so it's Charlotte in Michigan. I found that out. So yeah, Natalie went last year and competed, and the state winner was a sophomore?
Yes, I believe.
Yeah, so what happens is only juniors and seniors can go to the national contest. We can send a freshman or a sophomore to the state, we definitely can, but only a junior or senior can go on to national. And so what happened last year, doesn't happen very often, someone that was not a junior or senior won. Her name is Emily from the Grand Rapids Right to Life organization, but Bridget from the Washtenaw Right to Life was the second place winner, and so she was able to go to the national contest, and she actually got fourth place at the national contest. I don't remember where that one was held last year. But I do know they pay for the mom to go, because they paid for me to go. So parents, if you know your child goes all the way, you can go to the National Right to Life meeting. It's a lot of fun. So, all right, are we ready?
We're ready to go?
Okay.
And they can compete until they graduate, right?
Yes, yes. So if you didn't win this year and you're not a senior, come back next year.
Okay, so our next contestant is Rebecca Navarre. She is a senior at Lenawee Christian School with a 4.0 GPA and a member of the National Honor Society. In that organization, she serves as their parliamentarian. She's been a part of her school theater department for 8 years and is currently playing the role of Gabriella in the High School Musical 2 in the spring. What's the date of that? Soon?
April 28th, 29th, and 30th.
Okay, so she's got about another month. She's been a student chaplain all 4 years of high school, and she's planning on attending Oklahoma Christian University this fall to study interior architecture and design. So here is Rebecca with her speech as well.
July 7th, 2021, a day that I will never forget. I was at a church camp and never expected what I saw that Wednesday afternoon. A group had asked to come in and talk with us students about their mission and goal to end abortion. I assumed they would give some biblical and scientific evidence, maybe a personal story or two, and then ask us to help them, whether it be through donation or volunteering. I was excited. I've always felt strongly against abortion, and I was willing and ready to support this group. The founder of the organization walked up and introduced himself, then stepped aside and asked us to watch a video. Words cannot describe the horror and pain that I saw and felt as I watched the video. Now I'm going to warn you, what I saw in the video is not for the weak stomach. I saw babies being ripped from the womb, limb by limb, finger by finger, bone by bone, struggling to stay alive. Blood everywhere. I saw them fighting against the vacuum aspiration, trying to get free, not being able to hold on to life. What I saw was not a medical procedure. It was murder. Abortion is not a science that fixes a problem. It's not a medical procedure to remove a non-living burden. It's murder, plain and simple, and I saw it happen. According to the World Health Organization, it is estimated that in the U.S., about 3,000 abortions happen daily. 125,000 happen per day around the world, and about 40 to 50 million abortions every year. The abortion industry has taken more lives than the Holocaust and Genghis Khan combined. During the Holocaust, over 11 million people were killed, and Genghis Khan killed over 40 million people. From 1973 to 2019, there have been an estimated 62.4 million abortions in the world. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not minimizing the evil of both Hitler and Khan or asking you to forget about those moments in our history. But it is appalling to me that as America, we fought against those things, but then turn around and allow innocent children to be killed. Of course, there's always the argument that those babies are not actually alive. They're just a fetus or cells. They don't feel pain. For that argument, I have one response. That fetus is living, and I have scientific and biblical evidence. From the moment of conception, those cells have life. This is a quote taken from an article written by Kaylee Cameron with Focus on the Family. While physical and human-like characteristics are not immediately visible in a fetus, many features are already set within hours of fertilization. This includes personality traits, eye color, hair, and gender. External features like ears, fingers, toes, and eyes begin to take shape within a month, before most women even know they're pregnant. Internally, the foundation of the child's bones and ligaments have been laid. We have technology to hear a heartbeat in an ultrasound at 5 weeks. Most women don't discover they're pregnant until they are 4 to 7 weeks along. 6 to 7 weeks is when women can find out if they're having one baby or twins or more. This is also when they begin to measure the baby. By 11 weeks, blood tests can be done to find out the baby's gender. Between 16 to 20 weeks is when most women begin to show as their belly continues to grow. By then, you can see the growth of the baby, hear the heartbeat, and feel its movement. But pro-choicers are not so easily convinced. What about those first 5 weeks that you can't hear the heartbeat? A research study was done at Princeton in 1999 by Diane Irving discussing the science behind when a human life begins. According to this article, a living being must have 46 chromosomes to be alive. Both a sperm and an oocyte contain 23 chromosomes, meaning that when they are combined or added together, 23 plus 23 equals 46. And those 46 chromosomes become a human life starting at conception. That is when human life begins. In Jeremiah 1:5, God says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." This scripture indicates that God cares about the unborn and is actively involved in carefully forming human life. Furthermore, each person is wonderfully made for a plan and purpose. From the beginning of time, God ordained a divine destiny for every person. This makes every life incredibly important and valuable. As the video ended, I remember sitting in my seat stunned, too horrified to move and yet too sick to stay. I somehow found a way to move my legs and walked out into the hallway. From there, I sat down and began to cry. I have never cried that much in my life. Trust me, I am not a crier. Then I couldn't breathe. I began to have panic attack after panic attack. Mixed in were a few asthma attacks. I was with a couple other people who reacted the same way, but I couldn't get those images out of my head. As I began to calm down, the reality of what I saw began to settle in, and I felt this conviction. I never want anyone to have to see or go through what I saw, but people need to know the evil that abortion is. It broke my heart. I vowed right then and there to do my part to raise awareness and end abortion. I'm not speaking here today to judge or condemn you if you have chosen abortion. Sadly, pro-lifers and Christians in the past have demonized women who have chosen abortion and made them feel less than. If that is you, I am sorry. God is the only one who gives life and takes away life. We are not the ones to choose life and death. But even if you have had an abortion, you are not alone. There is hope. God still offers grace and forgiveness, and he cares for you. Because of this, I beg you to consider this truth, because abortion is murder, and it needs to stop, because everyone deserves a right to life. Thank you.
Wow. I am glad I'm not a judge. Bethany and Mark and Julianne are going, oh, why did I say yes to this? Okay, so they're gonna now go ahead and tabulate all of their comments and their scores, and Alex has been doing a great job keeping up with them, Alex? Yes, okay, great. Okay, and Roxanne is gonna make her way up here. So Roxanne Meeks from the Care Pregnancy Center is now gonna help us to understand a little bit more about maybe how we can be involved with the CPC. Okay, there you go. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Roxanne.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, everybody. Again, I'm Roxanne with the Care Pregnancy Center of Lenawee here in Adrian, Michigan. And for everything that's been said tonight, the scripture that comes to my mind is that it is a thief who comes to steal, kill, and destroy. But Jesus came to give life and that more abundantly. And so for everything that you all have said tonight, and the common theme being, when does life begin? And we all know, those of us that are here tonight and those of us that are joining us on Facebook, we know that life begins at conception and that God has created each and every one of us with a purpose and a plan. And the Care Pregnancy Center of Lenawee is here in our community to elevate God's plan for life, sexuality, and the family in our community. And we are here to join the generations, too, in that elevation of life. And so I'm so thankful for you young people and for the way that you have studied to show yourselves approved and presented yourselves in such a professional manner and spoke truth before us. And thank you for what we've learned from you tonight. I appreciate you. We do have Natalie Spalding with us here tonight, too, who had actually had spoken here and won the contest, as we said a year ago. And we'll hear a little bit more from Natalie here toward the end of what I'm going to share with you regarding what she birthed out of this Care Pregnancy Center, which is now called Champions for Life. And each and every one of you exemplify a champion for life. And again, I appreciate you. And Natalie will speak a little bit later on how you too can become a champion for life in your own right and collectively as students for life. So again, welcome to CPC of Lenawee. I just feel like so inferior with a slideshow with all these speakers that we've had and the way you've presented yourselves, but I really want you to know what we are doing in our community. I love what was said about giving grace to those who have chosen an abortion. So we are there to elevate, yes, God's plan for the sacredness of life, sexuality, and the family in our community. And we are there also to offer hope and healing to those who have made an abortion decision in their past, because the trauma that you spoke of, the post-abortive stress disorder that you spoke of, is a very real thing. It's a very real thing for 4 in 10 of the women who sit in our churches today. And sometimes still will sit in those churches silenced by shame or guilt when we have a place in Lenawee County where people can come and find hope and healing in a future in who they are in Jesus Christ and the forgiveness that he died to offer. At the CPC of Lenawee, we provide many services. We provide services for pregnancy, parenting, practical fatherhood, educational services, and we do this as completely funded by the generous giving of our community, our churches, and by the generous offering of support to facilitate these classes by those that will come and serve, such as Juliana Moore is one that serves here. My board chair is here tonight, Margaret Duffy, and many of you from Right to Life that I see come through our doors for different occasions are sister partners in this community, fighting for life on the legal side, where we are also fighting for life on not only to make abortion illegal, but to make it unthinkable. And how do we do it? We do it by studying to show ourselves approved and then sharing that with truth and love in our community. Some of the additional services that we offer are medical services, where we can provide prenatal vitamin distribution, limited ultrasounds, and pregnancy tests. And again, the story that Lisa told us tonight about the gal who is afraid in her pregnancy and pregnant with twins even, where can she go for help? And the Care Pregnancy Center of Lenawee is one of the main places that can help come alongside her to help serve her in that. So in a place of fear, in a place of financial crisis, in a place of how can I, you can, if you come into a place where we can not only care for you with the services that we can provide, but also provide community referrals to really put that circle of care around an individual. And so thank you so much for people like Lisa, because it does take not only organizations and groups of people, but it takes individuals to say there's a person in need and how can I come alongside and how can I help to give them that hand up. We offer the advocacy services of the pregnancy decision coaching. So again, pregnancy can always not be received with joy, even though we know children are a gift from God, they are a reward from Him, but they're not always received with joy, especially if it is something that is untimely for an individual. They can find themselves in a place of fear, and what they need is compassion, hope, and truth, and love. And so we offer that through our pregnancy decision coaching, which then leads into opportunities for parenting or adoption. We can educate on abortion procedures, but we never, ever, ever refer or perform abortions, but we hope that they will make an informed decision. And when they recognize some of the instrumentation that can be used or the chemicals that can be used, and they're just told in a medically accurate format what abortion procedures are as they allow us to do so. Still thinking they can't parent, we can help them to make an adoption plan, or even sometimes a temporary foster case situation until they can really get themselves on their feet. And again, with Grace, we offer after-abortion care program for those who have had abortion and are suffering in that guilt and shame. We will walk with CPC on a path that will lead to forgiveness and healing. And our advocate for that healing, which is called the mourning, M-O-U-R-N-I-N-G, the mourning, the grief that comes after an abortion. She herself had a former abortion. She had an abortion. So she speaks experientially into the lives of women, because she is on the other side now, having received the abundant life that Jesus Christ died to offer and the freedom that she can walk in and that forgiveness. We have parenting classes that are actually called Earn While You Learn for pregnancy, infant care, parenting. They can earn baby bucks, and that's little monopoly money, where we say we are a hand up, not a hand out. They are actually earning through their educational process baby bucks, where they can come into our boutique and shop for material support that they need. Everything from diapers and wipes and formulas and big things to cribs and car seats. In practical fatherhood, we talked about tonight, somebody mentioned about the fathers are involved too in these pregnancy decisions when they're allowed to, when they know that that is taking place. And there is a very high percent, and I don't have that percentage with me tonight, but of women who would, if they would have had that person in their lives, that father of the baby, that would have said, I'm here beside you, we can do this together, we can parent this child, would have chosen life for that child. So we really want to be educating our young men too, so that they know ahead of time, again, elevating God's plan for sexuality and life before we come into a case of an unplanned pregnancy. We offer life skills, so it's not just about saving the baby, folks, it's also about raising a child, right? So yes, we want to save the babies, and that is a primary focus of ours, that and sharing the gospel. But it's now also about saving the baby and raising the child. And how do we do that? We need skills such as parenting, but we also may need to look at a career path or housing or budgeting. And CPC of Lenawee also offers those types of classes and skills to come alongside these individuals. We'll hear a little bit later about our future plans, where we really have created that literal pathway to parenthood, where we will have the pregnancy center
in the brick building that we're in right now. And we have created a concrete path or sidewalk to a big Victorian home directly behind us that will become our parenting center, where we can really show people, you know, let us take you on that clear path to parenthood. We can hold your hand and help you to be a successful parent. We offer material assistance, community referrals, post-abortive care, supervised visitations, and church referrals. This is just one side of a list of a lot of titles none of us can see. but again, when we talk about you know, what the enemy meant for evil, the Lord comes and brings good from that. Well, throughout the COVID season, when many places were closed down, we were a vital and necessary ministry in our community, and we were able to incorporate a streaming program into our educational processes. And it just has expanded the services that we can offer. So this is just a list of half of those that are available to us. So we have many, many services available. We have many, many needs for volunteers. And we can also serve remote, so we can do distance learning. And again, it is a thief who comes to steal, kill, and destroy. John 10:10 says that Jesus died to bring us abundant life in a transactional environment, such as a Planned Parenthood, more transactional, retail-focused, consumer-based, in it for the money business. We are all about transforming lives through the saving knowledge of Jesus Christ, and that we will work with individuals to develop relationships. We are relationship-based. We identify as a covenant. The sanctity of marriage is a covenant, and we are a ministry. CPC does need the churches. We need the churches to be able to come alongside our clients as their children are growing up. We can come alongside them in that little red square where we see that they are from birth to maybe 2 to 4 years old many times, for the purposes of beginning their parenting journey. But as that child is raised to the age of 18, that family needs a place to find abundant life, and that is in the church, where they can come into a household of faith and be relational with the community of God and grow in abundant life. So we are not just pro-life, we are pro-abundant life. I'm going to skip through these because I want to make sure Natalie has plenty of time to come up too. So again, we are partnering with our churches to bring people into a welcoming environment where they can be discipled. And as I spoke of, we are now looking forward to opening up our big Victorian home. We are beginning to use that space as we have completed phase 1, and we have taken occupancy of the north end of the building, where we can now conduct group classes, demonstrations, and community focus groups. So our first visitors were actually Focus on the Family. So we were thrilled to have Focus on the Family come, where they actually are featuring. There are over 2,200 pregnancy centers across the nation, and we are fortunate to have one here in Lenawee County. And Focus on the Family is featuring the pregnancy centers and the effect that they can have on promoting life, and again, making abortion unthinkable. So they are promoting several pregnancy centers, and we were honored to be among one of those. So they were our first visitors in our new space, and that will feature Lisa, who is our post-abortive advocate, and her abortion story and her story of healing. Phase 2 will be the completion of that Family Resource Center, where it will become a space where we can have our boutique, our material support, classrooms, demonstrations. We'll be creating a community in learning. Right now, we serve our clients as a one-on-one, but we know that community learning and relationships is going to help enhance their opportunity for abundant life. We will have hands-on application and demonstrations and modeling of what that parenting looks like. Phase 3 will be our resource center, where the building that we're in right now will be strictly our medical center. So that will be the place where we can have a big screen that will show them the baby on the ultrasound. So it will be our medical center for pregnancy testing, ultrasounds, and sexual health and relationship education. We will do, obviously, sexual health and relationship education and sexual risk avoidance classes. Now, I know those of you that are at LCS are becoming familiar with our sexual risk avoidance classes, are willing to wait. And we are thrilled that this is the second year we've been able to bring that to our community. And again, we want to get on the preventative arm of people knowing God's plan for life and sexuality so that they will be making good choices, good and wise and healthy choices before they find themselves perhaps in an unplanned pregnancy situation. Some of the partnering programs that we have for the churches are Embrace Grace and Making Life Disciples. That helps us to equip the church to offer compassion, hope, help, and discipleship for those that are at risk in pregnancy or those that are at risk in churches. So again, 4 in 10 women sitting in churches. Some statistics say if the women in the churches, this is hard to say, but if women in the churches would quit having abortion, we could defund Planned Parenthood. So we got to let that sink in. We got to let that sink in. We got to wonder why that is and how can we be, again, proactive to let people know that their, pregnancy, unplanned pregnancy is not a hopeless, helpless place. There can be compassion, hope, and help, and we're here to offer it. So does anybody know what that is up there in the upper right-hand corner? So all this stuff that I've been talking about is big. It's really big. And there's a few of us that work at CPC and hundreds that support the CPC, but it's still big. The project that we're undertaking is big. And so many days I'm like, how will we ever do this? And I felt like all of a sudden I got that picture of that elephant. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So I went to a women's conference and a woman was wearing this necklace, and I thought that just really exemplified when something seems really big to us, even the abortion industry and the legalities that are coming our way regarding that can seem really big. Big elephant. But how do we do it? One bite at a time and one fight at a time, right? But we battle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers of this dark age. And we as Christians do that also from a place of prayer, a position of prayer, knowing that God can make a difference. He can transform hearts and make abortion unthinkable, and that's my prayer. I want to bring up Natalie because speaking of bringing hope, are there any questions as Natalie comes up? Any questions about CPC or anything I've said? Okay. All righty. So another big passion of mine is that we are connecting the generations. So I just want to introduce you to Natalie. I met Natalie just a year ago, and when you won this contest. And we spent a little bit of time together, got to know one another, and she has just taken from that place of her speech, what she shared, that passion that put into her heart, the spark that was in her heart has become a fire that is just burning. And I just want you to share a little bit about your journey and what you've been able to do. And thank you.
So thanks, Roxanne.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi guys, I'm Natalie. And first I just want to thank you all for being here to support the right to life. Thank you also especially to the contestants. Your guys' speech were excellent today. I'm so glad I could be here and support you guys and listen. Love it. I just love this contest. Sorry guys. Okay. Okay, I should probably talk about what I'm supposed to talk about. So yes, last year I got the opportunity to give a speech here at the Right to Life contest and go to states. And then through that opportunity, I got connected with Roxanne from the CPC. And she came to me with this idea called Champions for Life. Just an idea to create a group for mostly students, but pretty much everybody, to band together and share their pro-life values, and to continue to learn and bounce off each other, and yeah. So I'm really excited to be here today as manager of Champions for Life and share what we're all about. So Champions for Life is a completely free online project that compiles pro-life resources and encourages healthy conversations. We offer a plethora of resources on our website focused on promoting faith, life, and love. So first we offer information on pregnancy centers and outreaches, and we write book reviews, just trying to get the information out there so that people who are looking for it can find, places to go if, they're in a crisis situation, or, places to help volunteer, to give of their time, and also books to read because everybody needs more education, right? We always are continuing to learn. So second, we have a Christian apologetic series on our website because especially for us, our faith in God is what roots our pro-life values. So that's where we start after the resources. Resources are great. But faith is what, it's why we believe what we believe. And we need to know why we believe what we believe. So we provide a series that walks you through the Christian faith and provides a defense for that faith. We also, our third resource is articles on pro-life topics. We're still trying to expand our that section to include all pro-life topics. Right now we've been mostly focusing on abortion. And we dive into the scientific, philosophical, ethical, moral, all these arguments for the pro-life stance. We also seek to address pro-life concerns and to offer practical pro-life solutions. And last but not least, definitely not least, we provide conversation tips. Because standing up for the unborn, especially in our highly politically polarized world, is daunting and is honestly no small feat. So we really want to come alongside pro-life supporters and give them the information and equip them to be able to have healthy conversations and especially to speak truth and to speak truth in love. So yeah, if you would like to support us, please do. Please follow our, let's see, yes, I have our website up there, sorry. And follow our Facebook page, follow our Instagram. We are posting twice a week now, so there's always new stuff coming out. And I would appreciate all your guys' support in that. Also, for the students, I would love to talk to any of you guys. If any of you would be interested, especially seniors, in writing for Champions for Life, come see me. Love to talk to you guys about that. Or if anybody wants more information, I'd love to talk. It's great. Thank you for your time. God bless.
Thank you, Natalie. Wow. We can see why she won last year's contest. And she's just become more and more passionate about life, we can tell. Yeah, so take her offer to heart. Write that down, championsforlife.org, and submit information. That would be great. Maybe even summations of their speeches would be good. Okay, so tonight, the students were judged on 5 categories. The first one was thesis and structure. The second one was content. The third was understanding and coverage of pro-life topics. The fourth was presentation. And the fifth was just the overall impression that they gave in their speeches. So that's what the judges judged on. Are you guys ready to hear who is the winner? How about if we start with third place? Third place will receive a check for $50. And so we're going to call up the third place, the second place, the first place, and then we'll ask all the students to come up and receive a certificate and a flower, and then we want to get a picture, so don't run away, okay? So our third place winner in the 33rd annual Right to Life Oratory Contest in Lenawee County is Olivia Spielman. Why don't you guys come back and we'll have the students stand over here. Okay, great. All right, yay, Olivia. Okay, good. All right, our second place winner for the 2022 Right to Life Oratory Contest is Katherine Shane. Yay! And she will receive a check for $100. She's like, yeah, I know what to do with that. All right. Our first place winner in the 2022 Right to Life Oratory Contest in Lenawee County is Jamie Stiver. We should have had the camera focused on her face. Her jaw dropped onto her lap. All right, so first, second, and third place. So that means that Jamie will go to Charlotte, Michigan on Saturday, May 21st to represent Lenawee County in the Right to Life Oratory Contest. And so you might want to talk to Natalie and Bethany and Julianne because they've done it before you. So if the rest of you would please come up, we would appreciate recognizing all 6 of you for the wonderful work you did on researching and writing and presenting on pro-life topics. You know, there could only be 1, 2, and 3 winners, so I know it's difficult, but it is such a wonderful thing that you did, and we do want to honor all of you. And if you weren't a senior this year, do come back. Bethany competed both her junior and senior year, and so she came back her senior year and won, so it definitely is possible. So I'm going to thank you all for coming. There are snacks out there, but we'll go ahead and end the live stream at this point. So thank you for tuning in and watching and supporting Life, and you can share this with anybody that you'd like to just honor these students by watching their speeches. So thank you very much.